My mom didn't raise her voice. She didn't look angry. That was the part that hurt the most. She simply tapped her wine glass with her fork, smiled politely at the table, and said, "Clara, you need to move out. We need your room." The sound of metal against glass echoed longer than it should have. The room went completely still. Even the kids stopped moving. I was frozen with a bite of turkey halfway to my mouth, chewing slowly, trying to understand if I'd imagined it. When I finally swallowed and looked up, every single person was staring at me. Every single one, except my sister. Brianna was already watching me, lips curled in a small, satisfied smirk. Not surprised, not confused, amused. That was the moment my chest tightened because it told me something I hadn't wanted to believe. Everyone else knew. I was the last one to find out. I was 24 years old, and up until that exact second, I genuinely believed I was doing life the right way. I worked full-time as a medical receptionist at a pediatric clinic. It wasn't glamorous. No one bragged about my job at family gatherings, but it was stable. I handled anxious parents, screaming toddlers, endless insurance calls. I showed up early, stayed late, and covered shifts whenever the clinic was short-staffed. After my dad died 4 years ago, I stayed living at home because my mom struggled financially, and I thought staying was the responsible thing to do. I paid her $600 a month in rent for 2 straight years. I bought groceries when the fridge was empty. I covered utility bills when she came to me stressed and short. I never missed a payment. I never asked for praise. I thought contribution equaled belonging. I was wrong. Brianna was 21. She'd never worked a job, not even part-time. She was still in college, on her 4th year after switching majors twice. Mom called her a free spirit, said she just needed time to find herself. Mom called Minnie too serious and uptight. After Dad died, Brianna got comfort. I got responsibility. When dinner awkwardly continued, no one said a word to me. Forks scraped plates, someone cleared their throat. I excused myself and followed my mom into the kitchen, my hands shaking so badly I had to grip the counter. "What are you talking about?" I asked quietly. "Why would you announce it like that?" She didn't even look at me. She was loading the dishwasher, calm as ever. "Brianna's boyfriend is moving in. They need the space." "My room?" I repeated. "They need my room?" "You're 24, she replied, closing the dishwasher a little too hard. "Most people your age live on their own." "I pay rent," I said. "I help with bills." She waved her hand dismissively. "That barely covers anything. Brianna needs support right now. She and Tyler are planning a future." Tyler, a guy she'd known for 6 months, unemployed, recently kicked out of his dad's place for not paying rent. When I mentioned that, my mom snapped at me. "Don't be judgmental. He's going through a tough time." "How long do I have?" I asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be fair. 2 weeks, she said, after New Year's. 2 weeks? To dismantle the life I'd built in the house I helped keep standing? Brianna walked into the kitchen then, leaning against the counter like she owned it. "Honestly, Clara, it's kind of embarrassing you're still here anyway." That's when I noticed the paint samples spread across the counter, different shades taped neatly together. Brianna had already chosen colors. She was redecorating my room before I'd even packed a box. The next morning, I woke up to voices downstairs. Mom and Brianna were laughing, planning a New Year's brunch. I stood at the top of the stairs and listened. "Just us, Tyler, and Aunt Susan," Brianna said. "Clara will probably be busy packing," my mom replied, laughing. I backed away quietly, closed my bedroom door, and sat on my bed feeling completely invisible. A few days later, I ran into one of my mom's friends at the grocery store. She smiled brightly and congratulated me on finally moving out. Then she added without hesitation, "Your mom says it's been really hard carrying you all these years." I smiled, nodded, walked away. My hands were shaking by the time I reached my car. A week before my deadline, I came home early from work. My stomach dropped when I saw black garbage bags piled in the garage. My things, childhood photos, books, keepsakes from my dad, some frames cracked, some things missing. My room wasn't mine anymore. Brianna and Tyler were inside measuring the walls. Tyler was sprawled across my bed like he belonged there. "No offense," he said, grinning, "but this room's going to be way cooler once we redo it." I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I silently started loading bags into my car, trip after trip. My mom stood there watching. "You'll thank me later," she said. "This is tough love." What they didn't know, what none of them bothered to notice, was that I'd already been preparing for this. The favoritism didn't start at Christmas, it had always been there. But Easter was when something finally broke. I'd been in a minor car accident and asked my mom for help with repairs. She said she couldn't afford it. 2 days later, she paid for Brianna's spring break trip. That was the moment I stopped hoping things would change. I cut expenses, I worked weekends, I saved aggressively, I apartment hunted quietly. In November, I signed a lease on a small one-bedroom across town. Move-in date, January 3rd. I moved boxes little by little, labeling them donation or storage. No one asked what was inside. No one cared. I kept receipts, rent payments, utility transfers, every message asking me to help with bills. Not for revenge, but because I'd learned something important. People who rewrite history hate proof. On January 2nd, while the house slept, I took my last things. I left my keys on the counter with a note explaining that I'd already moved out and that I paid rent through December because I wasn't a thief. By noon, my phone exploded. Accusations, guilt, immature, dramatic, until my aunt stepped in and said what no one else would. I didn't answer my mom's calls. I sat in my new apartment instead. It was small, quiet, peaceful. Mine. 2 weeks later, my mom texted asking to talk. I stared at the message and realized I didn't feel panic anymore. I didn't feel obligated to fix things. For years, I thought family approval was the prize for being good, responsible, dependable. Turns out, the real prize was realizing I never needed it. They gave me an ultimatum. I gave myself freedom.